Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just Sayin. We are so glad to be back after another 2-week break, but that's because this guy to my left that you can't see, but that's fine, was on vacation. Jairus, welcome back from vacation. How was it?
Thank you, Shay. The guy to my right obviously doesn't know his directions, but the direction I took for my vacation was up to Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, make sure you say that right.
That's right, or otherwise I'll get clowned on. Had a great time. Visited a friend. Maybe toured some new apartments.
What?
Maybe. Oh yeah, I'm looking to take that next big step and move out of Florida because I've lived here all my life and I want something different. Both apartments were very nice. Taking care of business as usual for that. But had a great time with some good friends and obviously watched some hockey games because that's what I do. And before that, I was in Tampa as well, and we saw 2 hockey games. Both Alberta teams came rolling through the Bay. Calgary and Edmonton, we beat both of them. But that was a couple weeks ago, and now we are on a 3-game losing streak. So a lot can change in 2 weeks, people.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, we are back. Had a great vacation, and hopefully every week from now on, we will have a consistent episode and be able to put up some content out for you guys. Got some great videos planned for the YouTube channel. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel for all that future content, you also get day early access to this podcast.
What?
Bet you didn't know that.
I didn't know that. And I'm part of the podcast.
Yeah. So this guy. If you're like this guy, make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel and also follow all of our socials that would be linked in the description down below. We have been a lot more active on Facebook and have started to get interaction, comments, and likes. So thank you guys so much for that and all your support. And without further ado, we're going to get started because we have a lot to talk about. Starting off with NFL free agency.
Yeah, who knew your 2-week break there was going to be the start of NFL free agency, the NHL trade deadline, and all this shit going on. So we have a lot, as Jairus alluded to talk about. We are not going to cover every single thing because that would be like a 4-hour podcast, and we don't have the time for that, of course. So we are going to do the best we can, go over the biggest signings and trades and news just in general, and have our discussions about it. We will not be touching Daredevil this week. So Marvel fans, you have to wait a week. Sorry. We have to catch up, which is fine. No big deal. We will. But we'll talk about it next week. And before we get started, quick disclaimer, next week's episode will probably be later in the week too, because my schedule's messed up because I have a spring training game I'm going to on Monday. So
yeah, who's playing in the spring training game?
The Red Sox and Braves. So
nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Braves spring training facility is right near us, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why the schedule's still going to be a little messed up, but we're looking to get back to more consistency, episode every week. But yes, Daredevil next week, starting off with the NFL, then basketball, NASCAR, MLB, hockey is going to get saved for next week because their trade deadline was massive too.
A lot to talk about.
So the NFL is going to take up a big chunk of our episode here because holy hell was it an active end of the year and start of the new year and free agency and all that. So to start off, we're going to start off with our teams here. For free agency, the moves we've made or the lack of moves we've made, lack of signings, maybe.
That's right. And I just want to remind everybody that your Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
That's right, baby.
But before we get to the top of the mountain, we have to start at the bottom. And we're going to start with my Cincinnati Bengals and the free agency or lack thereof that they have had so far.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I want to congratulate defensive end Sam Hubbard on a great NFL career because he has decided to hang them up after 7 seasons. The hometown kid, obviously most iconic play was the Ravens versus the Bengals in the playoffs. Returned a tush-push fumble from like the 1 or 2 yard line, ran it all the way back for the touchdown.
Yeah.
So never forget that, Sam Hubbard. Thank you so much for your great play and great heart. I'm sure it was a dream come true playing for the team that you dreamed of. And best of luck in all of your retirement from here, everybody at Just Saying.
Yeah. Congrats to a great career, captain on the defensive side of the ball, and we wish you nothing but the best in retirement. Enjoy your time with your family, friends, and good luck to whatever you decide to pursue next.
That's right. Next up, linebacker Jermaine Pratt has been a Bengal for a few years now. He formally requested a trade a few weeks ago. So interesting there. And that leads into the big news. And a lot of this is older news, but obviously we've been off for 2 weeks, so we're going to discuss it now. Star defensive end for the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson, was not requested, but granted permission to seek a trade. With 1 year still left on the 4-year, $80 million deal he signed back in 2021. This is just awful.
Yeah, it's not a good look for the Bengals. I honestly have no idea what ownership and front office is doing. It's kind of mind blowing with all the signings that they have made, but none of it is the key guys that you need to win a football team.
Oh, but don't worry. They want to make Jamar Chase the highest paid non-quarterback in the league.
Which is like, he probably deserves it. That's fine.
Which is great. They haven't signed him yet.
Oh.
But they'll get there. They want to, and we'll get into some of that later. But the second piece of news I want to mention before I probably go into a rant here is we place the franchise tag on wide receiver T. Higgins for the 2nd consecutive year. And it's now going to carry a cap hit of $26.18 million. Like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah,
like, what are we doing?
It's the last year to franchise tag him because you can only franchise a player 2 consecutive years. And unless you get a deal done with him, he will be a free agent next year, no matter what happens. The Bengals, those are literally the only 2 options. If I were T. Higgins, I probably wouldn't want to stay, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I've said it time and time again, and I know people listening to podcasts are probably getting tired of me ranting about the Bengals, but I'm going to say it again. You just had a generational pace with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins is a great wide receiver too, and on a lot of other teams, he would be valued as the top option.
Yeah.
We just wasted a year of those guys. Trey Hendrickson leading the league in sacks for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And you don't pay him, and you had one of the worst defenses in the league this past season.
Yeah. It just, especially after last offseason, not paying Jamar Chase when you had the chance to get him for cheaper than what he's worth now.
And what? Amon-Ra St. Brown signed a contract. Justin Jefferson signed a contract. So
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith signed extensions.
There was the bar right there.
Mm.
And you decided to put it off and wait after a holdout and just like this. That holdout might have affected their start.
Yeah.
It might have just disrupted team chemistry that much to where they had that 0-4 start and just could not recover.
Yeah, they absolutely could have.
They made those mistakes last year, and they're doing the same fucking thing this year. And it makes me fucking sick as a fan. I go to bed every night and wake up wondering, like, oh, what's going to go wrong with this team now? 2021 is looking like it was all just a dream.
Yeah. It was a hoax, actually.
Like, I'm so sick to my stomach, and it just baffles me how the ownership and the front office continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. I saw a post where as soon as Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow signed their massive contracts, the Bengals have only signed one other player to a total value contract of $40 million or over, who was Logan Wilson. The Eagles have signed 8 players to that type of contract, and they won the Super Bowl.
Yep. It just shows you it's a good thing to look at because it shows you or gives you at least an idea of the front offices of both teams.
I think that's all you need to see.
The Eagles are very player friendly and want to go reward their players and keep their players around that deserve to be kept around and think they could help win another championship. And the Bengals are the exact opposite.
I don't have any doubt in my mind that these guys want to stay in Cincinnati.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of it, I would say, is because of Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Joe Burrow has come out and said he has full trust in the front office. He's willing to do anything they can, restructure his contract, do anything they can to keep his guys around. And the Bengals front office is failing him right now.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big time.
And it's, oh my God, I get so mad thinking about it. Like, if I thought this year was bad, like right now, next year, I don't have any faith that we're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, especially if you're not going to have Hendrickson potentially, or if T. Higgins is going to sit out, or is Jamar Chase going to sit out because they still don't have a deal done. It's early in the offseason. There's still a lot of time left to go, but still,
why are we waiting?
Look. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Why are we waiting to sign these guys? Like, come on.
Yeah. I don't know.
These are not like, just players that you can replace with other depth pieces from other teams. Like, these are your key guys. This is the core.
And you're signing everybody else but these guys.
Yeah, we've signed like 10 other players. Shout out to Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
Great signing, but none of them are who we're waiting for. And I just don't get it. I really don't. I really don't understand. Like, if anybody else is a Bengals fan has contacted the front office or like knows anything, please help me to understand why these deals are not getting done.
I would say all their focus is probably on Jamar Chase, which rightfully so. T. Higgins getting franchise tagged was probably their only option because I don't know if they could get a deal done. But if they're saying, hey, Trey Hendrickson, go shop around for a trade, maybe that gives them an idea of what he might be worth to other teams, which he'd probably be worth a lot. But then you're giving up, the sacks leader for the last 2 years for probably picks and
a guy who was literally our entire defense.
Right.
And that's the real baffling part.
Yeah, and then a replacement who's not going to be as good. So I don't know really what they're going to do. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think the Bengals front office has just completely botched everything since we've gone to the Super Bowl. Really.
I still don't think they can keep all three. I think one of them's going to have to go. But you could have, like, worst case scenario is going to be Hendrickson does leave in a trade. T. Higgins sits out because he doesn't get a deal, and Chase sits out because they never came to a deal. Like, that would be catastrophic.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the Bengals. I don't know what else to say. It's just a disaster right now.
It's just a wait and see now.
But moving on to my other team, which, I mean, hey, the Jaguars last season were a disaster, but at least with the moves that they've made, I can see that they have some sort of direction.
Yeah.
Right? So first up, we trade wide receiver Christian Kirk to the Texans for 2026 seventh. I don't hate the move with the emergence of Brian Thomas Jr. Like it's not a bad move, but it's it's like kind of like he got injured, so like you couldn't really gauge like how much production he was going to have.
Yeah.
So I mean they'll probably find somebody else either in the draft or whatever, but yeah, I mean it's sad to see him go for sure. But I thought it didn't hurt to keep him, so
Yeah.
maybe they just wanted to get some value back.
I think a 7th round pick is a little low, but hey, I mean,
So, but the next move we're going to talk about is that they release tight end Evan Engram, which to me was very surprising because he was one of our more productive targets for Lawrence. But he goes to Denver and signs a 2-year deal with the club that was officially confirmed today. So, maybe the front office is looking at Trent Baalke's work and saying, we're just going to go ahead and move in a different direction. And they did say that they want Lawrence to have input on like who they get, who they draft, which I think is a good thing. Like, make sure that he has some sort of say because, they paid him that massive contract. So like it is going to be his team.
He just needs to prove himself.
Right. So the question is like, we're on our third regime of the Jaguars since Lawrence got drafted.
Duval.
Yeah. Is this like it? Is this the final year? If Lawrence does not break through, can we finally just label him, okay, he's a bust? And I already know people are doing it. I know people have done it, but is this like where the rubber meets the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but what do you think? It's your second team or whatever. Like, it's regardless if he's a bust or not, you're stuck with him no matter what.
Yeah, because nobody's going to take that contract.
No.
So, I like what they're doing. They're trying to go in a different direction. They're trying to give Lawrence every opportunity, which I like. But this it's kind of just like the same old song and dance. So if it doesn't work out this year, the Jaguars are just right back where they were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Just in the complete basement and looking for a new quarterback or whatever. But now they're going to have $55 million on the books to deal with.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate to start with all the depressing stuff. I really do. But we just want to get that out of the way because both these franchises are best. At least we're not the Browns. And I just want to say, too, about the Bengals. Yes, we're not the Browns, but the Browns are willing to pay their players.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's not a good look.
I don't know what it is about Ohio besides the Buckeyes, but every team there has just been so underwhelming throughout their entire existence.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it makes it even worse, like when you see that the Browns are, even though they don't deserve it, signed Deshaun Watson a massive contract. They just put a big bag in for Myles Garrett, which we'll talk about. At least they're willing to pay their players.
Yeah,
might not be going anywhere.
Which only
so
makes
we're not
it worse.
going anywhere, and we're not paying our players.
Yeah, and it makes it worse for Trey Hendrickson that Myles Garrett got that massive contract.
That's right. So it's just not good. But moving on to greener pastures, Shay, your Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to stop saying that. Have made some moves.
Yeah, it was expected. Of course, every team makes moves every single year, but after a Super Bowl winning team having signed Jalen and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith last offseason, it was expected to we're gonna have to lose some players. Um, First though, I want to start with Saquon. Signed a record 2-year, I think, extension to his already 3-year deal he made last year.
Yeah.
For $41 million. He is now the highest paid running back in NFL history. And, I mean, well deserved. Like, there is nothing else to say, but you deserve it. You are a huge reason why we won the Super Bowl. So,
yeah, I totally agree. I did see some analysts saying that they were confused by the move because he still has 2 years on his deal, and that will take him into his early 30s, which is usually like, aged out for running back. But it's Saquon. Like,
yeah, if anyone,
you don't know what's going to happen in 4 years.
No, and everyone wrote him off this
around.
year. Everyone wrote him off this year before the season started because he was injury riddled with the Giants, and then he had an injury-free season with Philadelphia. So I'm not concerned one bit. I'm happy about it. He deserves it. Like I said, congratulations. But moving on, we did lose cornerback Darius Slay to the Steelers on a 1-year deal, which was not surprising because he said during the Commanders game in the NFC Championship that this was probably going to be his last home game in Philadelphia. So very sad to see him go. Ever since he came over from the Lions in a trade a few years ago, he's been lockdown corner, top 5 in the league every year. And, big play Slay is absolutely going to be missed, but he still deserves a chance to play in the league. So I'm glad he's still in the league. And, hey, good for the Steelers. You got some help.
And you still got Cooper DeJean. You still got Quinyon Mitchell.
For sure.
So, it sucks, but, like, you can afford it.
Right, which we'll get to in a moment. We did re-sign linebacker Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million deal, which, thank God. There was some talk early on in this free agency period, really before the windows opened up, that we might let him go because he's only signed to a 1-year deal, basically a prove-it deal because he was just a special teamer last year for the Saints. But Vic Fangio saw something in him, and he proved to be invaluable. Just the best linebacker in all of football, basically, and holy hell. So we have him for the next 3 years. He's locked up. Thank God. That would have been a massive loss. But what is probably right now a massive loss, defensive tackle Milton Williams and defensive end Josh Sweat are both gone. Huge pieces of our defensive line last year, aside from Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And we also traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson and a 2026 6th-round pick to Houston for guard Kenyon Green and a 2026 5th. So this is a lot of people, right? There's a lot, especially on the defensive side. This is a lot of people gone. But is it as big of a loss as it seems on paper? In my opinion, it's still too early to tell, obviously. But in my opinion, our defense is very young. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are 2 studs up front. Georgia Bulldogs are still on their rookie deals. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean proved as rookies last year were just fine with them. So I'm not too worried, and especially with Vic Fangio proving everybody wrong last year because he finally won his first Super Bowl. I think we're going to be okay. Not too worried about it.
Yeah, obviously a lot of these players, it sucks because you just won the championship and you want to run it back with the same exact team and you have those memories forever. But the reality is, especially in NFL free agency, that, money talks. So if they go out and get, a big payday, that's their right, So that's their right to get the money that they deserve or they feel like that they deserve. It sucks, but like you said, they're not like, I'd not say they're replaceable, but they're definitely important pieces. But with the staff you have and with the pieces coming up, you guys won't, you're not like overly concerned.
No, and our on the offensive side, we're especially after the Saquon extension, we are locked up through 2029 with Jalen Hurts, Saquon, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith. There's rumors we might be losing Dallas Goedert, which would also suck, but his backup tight end Cole Calcaterra had a kind of a breakout year with Goddard being hurt multiple times. So I don't see the Eagles really going anywhere, and I think we're going to be okay. That's my take on it. So
yeah, I totally
sucks
agree.
to lose these players that helped us win a Super Bowl, absolutely, but it's just business.
And weren't there a couple players that retired on the team after? Didn't Blankenship retire?
No, Reed's still there.
Oh.
No one's retired as of yet. Brandon Graham could retire, but he hasn't.
Oh
made
no,
it
wasn't retirement. No, they were expected to cut Bradbury because
James Bradbury, yeah, because he missed all last year. Which it's another corner, but we have DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's our teams. But we got another team that we thought was very interesting to talk about because they have made a lot of moves.
Yeah,
big moves. During free agency.
A team that looks very different now.
Yeah. So the Seattle Seahawks are the team we're going to talk about. They obviously missed the playoffs this year on a strength of schedule tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal way to miss the playoffs. So after they had some massive changes. They first released longtime Seahawk wide receiver Tyler Lockett after 10 seasons on the team.
Yep.
And then the big one, or one of the big ones. So the Seattle Times interestingly reported that Geno Smith turned down a 2-year contract offer in the $40 to $45 million per year range from the Seahawks.
Which, if that's true, that's crazy.
And then he has to be traded.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
So they did. They traded quarterback Geno Smith, the successor to Russell Wilson, longtime Seahawk, to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 2025 third, which I think is great value, to be honest, for a 34-year-old quarterback, and he's still producing. He gets reunited with Pete Carroll on the Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. That might have been why he turned down the contract. Also, maybe he just doesn't think Seattle's going in the right direction or had the right plans for him personally. Again, this is all reported, so we don't know if it's necessarily true or not, but if it is, it's still pretty crazy.
Yeah. And we have another move to talk about that might have motivated Geno Smith's decision because they trade wide receiver DK Metcalf to the Steelers for a 2025 second and a pick swap. And once he got into the Steel City, he signed a 5-year, $150 million extension. And I want to point out this is not good news for the Bengals because now what is T. Higgins worth?
Yeah, exactly. This is great news for the Steelers, though. They get a receiver that, when he has a good quarterback and is healthy, is a top 5 wide receiver in all the NFL.
Electric player. Now they got a duo of Metcalf and Pickens.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of key pieces being lost for the Seahawks. I wonder if they're going to make the playoffs next year, or are they going to go into some sort of rebuild?
I don't know. They still have Smith and Jigma as who's going to be their number 1 receiver now. But they did add a quarterback.
That's right. Geno Smith's replacement. They signed quarterback Sam Darnold to a 3-year, $100.5 million contract. And I know what everyone's going to say. Well, Sam Darnold choked the last 2 games of the season, so like he's not worth that much, and he's a 1-year wonder, which may be true. Maybe with Justin Jefferson and Cam Addison, maybe he had just elite weapons to throw to, and maybe that boosted up his numbers. But in my honest opinion, I don't think this is a bad deal.
No, before the season starts and everything, I think this is a good deal. He deserves it. He, at least for the time being, turned his career around and showed he can be a good quarterback in this league. Now he needs to go and prove it with a pretty good sized deal for him. And I think he can.
Yeah,
if the Seahawks help him out with some pieces.
Right. Cash is in, and he probably has a chip on his shoulder because he's ready to show, like, not just a 1-year wonder. Like, I can be a good starter in this league.
Yeah, exactly.
So congrats to Sam Darnold on cashing in for a big payday.
It's now J.J. McCarthy's time in Minnesota.
That's right. And everyone wants Aaron Rodgers to sign in Minnesota to complete the arc.
Yeah.
But the Vikings came out that they don't want to impede J.J. McCarthy on taking the starting job. So they said probably not going to sign Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. So with this other team, the Seahawks, really having a new identity next year, with all these core pieces being lost in Geno, DK Metcalf, and I would argue most importantly Tyler Lockett, who's been there for so long, a huge veteran leadership presence in that organization. Can they make the playoffs? Is this going to be a case of too much change in too little time, or is, hey, breath of fresh air, organization's brand new, ready to go? What do you think?
I think the Seattle Seahawks, with a good draft and maybe any other guys they sign, I think they could get back into the playoffs next year. They still got good pieces there. They signed Sam Darnold. You know, if he works out, then they have their quarterback for the next few years. Maybe they draft, a future quarterback. So I think in the right situation, I think they could definitely be back in the playoffs next year. I could see them having a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I agree with you. Seattle's one of my non-favorite, not spoken about favorite teams. I really enjoyed watching Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom when all that was going on. So I want to see them.
Good times.
I want to see them be successful again, but we'll have to see what happens. I honestly don't know. I think they could, but it's a lot of change.
Yeah, so that's all the teams that we wanted to discuss or have time to discuss, but don't worry. If you follow the Facebook and the YouTube, we'll have videos, we'll have posts, we'll be discussing a lot more there, so make sure you go follow. But we are going to move on to some other notable signings that we wanted to talk about. First off, which is not good for the Bengals, we have a couple defensive end contracts that we need to talk about. So first off, defensive end Max Crosby and the Raiders agree on a 3-year, $106.5 million extension, which at the time was the record for a non-quarterback.
Correct.
Until the Browns extended defensive end Myles Garrett like a month after his official trade request. 4 years, $160 million sets the new record for a non-quarterback at $40 million a season.
This is a no-brainer move for the Raiders and the Browns to sign these guys and give them the money that they do deserve. They're both.
You should tell the Bengals that.
Yeah,
this is a no-brainer move.
Exactly. They are both game wreckers. They can change this position, the defensive end or interior lineman, defensive lineman, can change the course of a game in just one play. That's all it takes is one play. So, and Max Crosby and Myles Garrett are in the top 5 with TJ Watt, who's obviously locked in over in Pittsburgh, and Trey Hendrickson. So this is a no-brainer. And as we already said, this makes it look worse for Cincinnati.
Yeah, and this also just shows too how money solves everything.
Yeah,
Myles Garrett, I want to go to a contender. I want to win a Super Bowl. Okay, $40 million a year, sure.
Yeah,
stay in Cleveland. Yeah. Metcalf, exactly. I want to go somewhere with a real quarterback and that's sunny. Goes to Pittsburgh where it's cold most of the year, and right now they don't have a quarterback at all.
Yeah,
because $30 million a year, I'll take it. So, hey, I mean, you said the entire time you thought the Myles Garrett trade request was just a way for him to force the front office's hand and get them money, and you were right. Because I don't see the Browns winning the Super Bowl in the next 4 years.
Hey, miracles happen.
I would bet my soul on it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Moving on though to a guy that also set a new record, but he sucks. No one likes him. He's a terrible player.
It's just some guy named Josh Allen, like his quarterback for the Bills. Like, why?
Yeah. Well, he kind of did a thing, which
the reigning MVP.
Yeah, he did something that I don't think people really expected. But he signed a new 6-year, $330 million contract extension, including the most ever guaranteed money, beating Deshaun Watson, which no one thought was going to ever happen again, with $250 million of that guaranteed, basically guaranteeing that Josh Allen will only be with the Buffalo Bills for his entire career, which I'm fine with. I think that's awesome.
That's right. He would be a UFA in 2030. And I just want to say, the fact that now Trevor Lawrence makes the same amount of money as Josh Allen is fucking absurd.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty wild. But I also think this makes the Bengals look worse because Josh Allen didn't need this extension. He was obviously under a massive contract for a while still.
Yeah, he still have 4 years remaining on this contract.
Right. But he had an MVP year, shows that he loves the city and loves the fans with all of who he is, loves the team, is willing to literally put his body on the line for the team. So what did the Bills do?
They reward him. What are the Bengals not doing? Rewarding their players. Yep. Just gets great. Moving on. Couple record-setting deals as well. A little bit smaller. J.C. Horn and the Panthers set the record for a cornerback deal. 4 years, $108 million. The full free agency market was strong in the cornerback position.
Yeah.
So good for J.C. Horn and the Panthers. And the Cowboys, they actually did something?
They finally.
Wow. So they signed wide receiver / return specialist Kevontae Turpin, Pro Bowler, to a 3-year, $18 million deal. This does make him the highest paid ever special teamer.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He's great.
Electric. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big playmaker for sure. And I also saw something that the Cowboys have not spent more than $6 million on a free agent since 2015.
How about them Cowboys?
That is wild.
I love it, though.
Hey, we all love it. Hey, when the Cowboys lose, America wins.
Yeah. And they've been losing since 1995.
That's right. Now the longest drought in the AFC for the championship game. Good job, Jerry Jones. You're doing amazing work.
Yep. To stay in the NFC East here, a trade to talk about. Probably, in our opinion, the biggest trade really thus far in the offseason. This isn't normally trade season, but they do happen now that the new league year has started.
Now, I would say it's the biggest trade, but the Browns traded for Super Bowl winning quarterback Kenny Pickett. They're going to the playoffs next year. Let's go.
I thought you just said they weren't going to win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years.
Yeah, but that was before I found out that they traded for Super Bowl winning quarterback Kenny Pickett with that amazing throw that you showed me earlier.
Listen, Kenny did well for us when Jalen got hurt, and then Kenny played through broken ribs. So I can't thank Kenny enough for helping us get to the Super Bowl, because he absolutely did, and then be a part of the Super Bowl winning team. He did have the final kneel down in the Super Bowl.
I just want to say too, like, that was so nice of the Eagles to like let him play in the game.
Yeah,
like I thought that was awesome
for sure. But his career is now over. The Browns are where quarterbacks go to die. So, Kenny, it was nice knowing you.
You guys killed Kenny.
Yes. The Commanders, though, trade.
This is the actual big trade.
The actual? I thought it was. The Commanders trade for the Texans 5-time Pro Bowler offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, giving up a third and a seventh in the 2025 draft and a second and a fourth in 2026. He also still does have 2 years left on his contract. So the Commanders are clear, and along with the other things they've done in the offseason so far, they are clearly ramping up to make Jaden Daniels even more successful than he already was. So they're going all in. Yeah,
great move.
They're going all in. They're gearing up. But you're in the same division as the Super Bowl champs, so
that's right.
Good luck.
All right, moving on. Big trade there though. Like that's a good amount of picks, but they really went for it.
Yeah.
So I think that shows the team that like we want to win. Just another example of great front office work. Which, there's a couple teams in Ohio that don't have that. But moving on, some few more notable signings. The Rams, after re-signing Stafford on a new restructured 2025 deal, they go out and get wide receiver Devontae Adams on a 2-year, $46 million deal. Now you're going to have a duo of Adams and Nacua. That could be disgusting.
Yep. Goodbye, Cooper Kupp. It was officially released today as of this recording, March 12th, which sucks. A long-time Ram, Super Bowl champion Ram, Triple Crown winner,
MVP.
Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, I mean,
I did not see this coming.
It sucks, but you kind of replace him with the guy that is just as good in Devontae Adams, and who proved last year he's still just as good. So I don't think it's as big of a loss as some people might have originally thought when the rumors broke out.
Yeah, they were trying to trade him, but unfortunately a trade did not facilitate, so they released him, and now he's free to sign, where he wants.
Yeah, I'll be interested.
Why not with the Bucs?
No, it's okay. I'll be very interested to see where he does sign, because almost any team would love a Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I could see him, though, maybe signing on like a 1 year deal for sure. Staying in LA, the LA Chargers re-sign edge rusher Khalil Mack on a 1 year, $18 million deal. It is fully guaranteed. And this is because they released defensive end Joey Bosa. And I love this. I love this. Joey Bosa goes to the Buffalo Bills on a 1 year, $12.6 million deal.
Yeah, and that
could be a great value signing.
Yeah, because they got rid of Von Miller. They let him go.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So they replaced him with Joey Bosa. Now, little worrisome, because he missed pretty much all of last year due to injury. And he even came out on a podcast and said he doesn't know how much time he has left, even though he's 29 years old. So
it's not good.
That's a little worrisome. But I do agree with you. I think this is a great signing by the Bills, and if he stays healthy, oh my God, their defense just got so much better. And the Chargers keeping Khalil Mack, even though he's getting up there in age, he's still a huge veteran presence, and he can still be dominant. So I think it's smart moves all the way around.
Yeah. So moving on to a few more signings. The Jets, first off, the Jets officially released Aaron Rodgers today. Adam Schefter broke the news.
Yep.
The Jets will carry a $35 million dead cap hit in 2026.
Oh, yeah.
From Rodgers' contract. Reportedly, now the Pittsburgh Steelers are the front runner to land Aaron Rodgers, which makes sense. They love their veterans, they love their divas, Metcalf, and just going to be another 9-8 season and making the playoffs and then losing the wild card.
I mean, maybe, but Aaron, especially in the later half of the year, again, he still has not said if he's actually playing. So there's still that, obviously. If he retires, then all this goes to shit anyway. But in the later half of the year last year, Aaron proved he still has it. And
I agree.
With Metcalf and Pickens and Freiermuth, their tight end, it could be pretty scary. It really could be.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens. I think the Steelers have made a lot of interesting moves. I don't know if they're good moves, but if it all works out, then the front office will look like geniuses.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, former Steeler quarterback Russell Wilson, Adam Schefter broke that he's planning to visit with the Browns and the Giants.
So he will never win another Super Bowl.
Pretty much. So the Jets news is big because they signed quarterback Justin Fields, also former Steeler, to a 2-year, $40 million deal. And this is very notable because that is like low-end starter money. So they believe that Fields can be the guy.
Yeah, and he has always shown flashes of it, but his turnovers are his Achilles heel. This is, in my opinion, his last chance. If it doesn't work here, then I think he's done.
And he's reunited with Garrett Wilson.
Woo.
So he'll have Garrett Wilson. Yeah, it could be very interesting. Obviously, it's going to be a very interesting year for the Jets with their Super Bowl aspirations last year and contention just all fell apart.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like, all right, where do we go from here?
Basically.
So, all right, well, we're going to take our break. But first, we want to thank ESPN and insiders Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport for all the updates. It was very helpful in putting this podcast together. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I couldn't do your job.
Yeah, so give them a follow if you want to, hear all the updates. And that's not sponsored or anything. We're not sponsored by ESPN. Nope. We just love the quick updates from them. So thank you very much.
Just being grateful.
That's right. So we're going to take our break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the NBA and then move on to NASCAR and a brief mention about the MLB because baseball is right around the corner, and I'm excited.
I can smell it.
So we will see you all very soon. Welcome back, everyone, to this exciting new episode of Just Saying. Thank you all for so much. Thank you all so much.
Holy shit, welcome back.
Oh, I can't put into words, literally, how grateful I am that you guys are still with us. Well, I fumbled my words earlier. So anyway, we're going to move on to basketball. We got, a good amount to talk about, actually.
Yeah, the season's winding down, as is, hockey. But we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs as we speak, as the days roll on here. So first off, some upsetting news, especially really for the NBA fan base as a whole, but especially for the Spurs. Defensive Player of the Year frontrunner Victor Wembanyama out indefinitely because of a pretty serious shoulder injury. It was like
vein thrombosis. which I didn't even look up what that is, but that sounds like
does not sound
that
good.
does not sound good.
This sucks. He's called the Alien, and of course is one of one. So
he's such an exciting player to watch.
Yeah, this definitely sucks. But the Spurs, again, were not expected to do much, even though they're having a better year this year than last year, and they're still, unfortunately, without Greg Popovich, who still is not back.
That.
Yeah, he
like indefinitely stepped away from the team, and like nobody knows if he's even going to come back.
Yeah, he's still recovering from his stroke he had last year. So, of course, from us here at Just Saying, if Greg Popovich listens to this, I would be my head would literally explode. But from us here at Just Saying, of course, we wish a full, healthy, speedy recovery because Pop, you still have some games left in you to coach, and I know we would love to see you back out there.
Yeah, one of the greatest coaches of all time, I think. Period. In every sport.
Yeah, sure.
So best of luck to you, Big Pop. Next up, Luka Doncic in his return to Dallas after the shocking trade.
Yeah, well, I mean, he sucks. His diet and how he looks is just not going to work.
I don't think he's going to be good in the next couple of years. So let's trade him for 31-year-old, always injured Anthony Davis and a couple other, bench players.
Yeah, and send him to a team that would, love to have him and all this stuff.
Yeah, pair with LeBron. Yeah, it's fine. The trade that shocked the NBA world a couple month ago, I don't know time. He drops a triple-double in his return to Dallas. 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists in a 107-99 victory over the Mavericks.
Mavericks fans don't deserve it, but that organization does.
Yeah, he came to play. Just great stuff. That was pure cinema to watch.
Cinema.
And I didn't think it would, and I had doubts when they traded for Luka if the Lakers defense would hurt because of Anthony Davis. Their defense has actually been better.
Oh, it's almost like Luka's proven them wrong.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't get any easier for Dallas because their season just gets worse and worse. They right now have 8 players out with injury, including, unfortunately, Kyrie Irving out for the season with a torn ACL.
Yeah, that was a very emotional moment. He knew it was done, but he did
still went out and made free throws.
Yeah, he did what Kobe did and made his free throws. And he was crying while making his free throws. And it was just very emotional because he knew it was done.
Yeah, just I feel bad for Kyrie Irving. I feel bad for all the other players that are injured. I hope they have a speedy recovery. I just call this karma, though, for the organization.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, we don't want to see anyone get hurt.
No, not at all.
But, yeah. Moving on, Nikola Jokic, the Joker, makes NBA history with just numbers you see in a video game.
Yeah, he's playing 2K25 right now.
Yeah. He drops just casually, and he didn't really react to it or anything.
That's how he is, yeah.
He's just like, yeah, okay. The first ever 30-20-20 game, 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 22 assists. He averaged a triple-double in each half of the game in a victory over the Phoenix Suns. 149-141 in overtime, just a complete shootout, just points across the board. Very exciting game. And Jokic continues to prove that he's still the MVP of the league.
Yeah, what more can you say? Hats off to Jokic. He
is him.
No one's ever done that before.
He might be already one of the greatest offensive or the greatest offensive center that we have ever seen.
Yeah, very, very well could be.
Yeah, just insane. I could not believe it when I saw that. Next up, LeBron James is out, unfortunately, 1 to 2 weeks with a groin injury in a 111-101 loss to the Boston Celtics.
Hell yeah!
Thank you for beating the Lakers.
Beat LA.
And did you see that? Did you see that hit that Tatum on LeBron? Like, what a dirty player.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't suspended for the rest of the season. Honestly, it was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Oh God. Yeah, just you know what? Get him off the fucking team. I don't want him there. That contract, he just most money in all of NBA, richest contract in NBA history. Get him the fuck out.
Yeah, flop. It's a flop.
Which is how it goes in the NBA, but you know, it's just the way the game is nowadays.
I just want to say that does not happen in hockey.
No, it doesn't.
Just go put that out there.
But all the money's in basketball.
I love all sports though. Going back to Jokic, he gets revenge as the Nuggets take down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Good job.
And the Oklahoma City Thunder, 140-127. Oklahoma City had beaten them earlier in the season, so this was the second meeting between the two clubs. And the Nuggets get their revenge. And that guy on the Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Nope, we're still wrong. So moving on now.
I'll try again next week.
You said we're going to try every episode, so until you get it right. So we're going to keep going next week. Moving on to our standings update. The year is winding down, as we said, so there is not much time left to make the playoffs if you're a certain South Florida organization.
That's
which
right.
We know that's not going to happen now.
No. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the final countdown. The final countdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the playoffs, we're going to give you our standings update.
That's right. So, in the East, the Cavaliers are actually the first team to clinch playoff spot because they already clinched their division. They are still the best team in the league at 55-10 on a 15-game win streak for the second time in the same season, which is pretty wild. I don't think everyone thought the Cavs were going to be really good, but I don't think anyone thought they'd be this good this year. Meanwhile, the Celtics are still holding on to that second place spot like they have been all year long at 47-18. Now 8 games behind, so it's pretty much a lock. We're going to get second place unless the Cavs just fall off the wheels for some reason, but I don't see that happening. We are 8-2 in our last 10 games, and little shout out
for playoffs.
Yeah, a little shout out to Peyton Pritchard and Derek White, the first Celtics players to hit 40 points in the same game, which, coming from the most storied franchise in all of basketball, is pretty wild. And Sam Hauser hitting the most threes in a game just the other day for the Celtics. So
wow, that's crazy. Actually,
pretty wild.
With how old that franchise is, yeah. And shout out to Peyton Pritchard as well, 6th Man of the Year front runner.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's having a great season.
Next, the Knicks are in third place at 41-23, 13.5 behind the Cavs. They are 5-5 in their last 10, though. Milwaukee.
Someone told me too that they lost Jalen Brunson, that he's going to be out.
Yes,
with injury, so that's not good news.
Yes, no, it's not. Milwaukee is in fourth at 36-28, 18.5 games behind. They have lost their last 3 and are 6-4 in the last 10. What was the hottest team in basketball in the middle of the season, the Indiana Pacers, have now cooled off. They are in 5th in the East, 36-28. Actually, they're tied for 4th with the Bucks, 18.5 behind. They're 5-5 in their last 10. And Detroit is in 6th at 37-29. 7-3 in their last 10. So Detroit is getting hot at the right time, and they have surprised everybody.
Yeah, what a turnaround for them.
Yeah, so they pretty much control their own destiny. If they keep doing what they're doing, they are definitely making the playoffs. The Hawks have been shaky all year, but they are in 7th right now, 31-34, 5-5 in the last 10, but winners of 3 straight. And the Magic hold the last playoff spot, not including the play-in, at 30-36, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. And then the two play-in tournament teams right now, Miami and Chicago. Miami's 29-35, 3-7 in their last 10, losers of 4 straight. I think they've only won.
Really started to fall off.
I think they've only won like once or twice since getting rid of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, it's not been good. Not that bad, but we've just been like, win 2, lose 4.
Yeah,
win 1, lose 3. Like, it's just not good.
Yeah, and then the Chicago Bulls are last 27, not last in the division, or conference, but 10th, 27-38. 5-5 in the last 10 and winners of 3 straight. So they are catching up to Miami, which is not good for Miami.
Nope.
Moving to the West because no one cares about the Sixers because they're a dumpster fire this year. Oklahoma City leads the West now at 53-12. They have a pretty commanding lead in the West, so they should be fine with the number 1 seed. And they are 8-2 in their last 10. Do play the Celtics tonight as of this recording, so by the time you're listening to this, they will probably beat the Celtics. Great. Denver is second place at 42-23, 11 games behind, and they are 6-4 of their last 10. The Lakers, definitely having a much better year thus far compared to the last couple years, are 40-23. A guy, a small guy named Luka Doncic seems to have definitely helped. They're 8-2 in their last 10. So
they're on fire right now.
The Grizzlies are 4th at 41-24, 5-5 in their last 10. The Houston Rockets are 40-25, 6-4 in their last 10, and then 6th is Golden State at 37-28. They are, besides the Cavaliers, are currently the hottest team in basketball, and that's because Jimmy Butler has been a pretty big help.
They've been 12-2 since Butler has arrived in Golden State.
Yep, and they are 9-1 in their last 10. And shout out to Steph Curry, who is 7 threes away from being the first and only player to hit 4,000 threes in his entire career.
And he has, on the all-time list, a commanding lead on threes.
Minnesota's 7th, 37-29, 6-4 the last 10. The Clippers, 35-30, 4-6. Sacramento, 9th, 33-31, 5-5 in the last 10. And Dallas does round it out at 33-33. So all the current playoff teams and play-in teams in the West are at or above 500.
There seems to be like a steep drop-off in the East between the playoff teams and the play-in teams.
Correct. But Dallas is 3-7 in their last 10, and I don't think they're making playoffs.
They're walking hospital right now.
Yeah, the Suns are probably going to eclipse them by the end of the year. So that is your playoff update. For me, Celtics, said it all year. I'm not worried about it at all. Heat, it's done.
I don't really care at this point. We did what we had to do. We traded Jimmy Butler. I'm sure like that locker room's probably a lot more settled now.
Yep.
So we'll see what they do for next year in the offseason. But yeah, I don't think we're making the playoffs. And even if we did, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So moving on to NASCAR. There's been a lot happening in NASCAR and pretty impressive stuff. Christopher Bell, how do you do, wins 3 straight, the last 3 races that we have not talked about yet, at Atlanta, Circuit of the Americas, and Phoenix Raceway. First time since 2021 that's been done.
Yeah, and he's going to go for a 4th straight, which is the first time since 2007, Jimmy Johnson doing that, which would be wild.
And that was a championship year.
Mhm.
So a lot of people now are picking Christopher Bell as the odds-on favorite to win the championship, and why not? He's had a very hot start. In Phoenix, he edges out Denny Hamlin in a photo finish. Denny Hamlin comes up second. Just good stuff from that.
Larson finished third actually in that race too.
Yeah, it was pretty close. The next race is the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and like as we mentioned, Christopher Bell will be going for the four-peat. In the Circuit of the Americas race, this was pretty controversial. Driver Austin Cindric was penalized with a 50-point penalty, driver point penalty, and a $50,000 fine for hooking Ty Dillon at the race. Pretty severe penalty there for sure. He did come out and admit that he purposely wrecked Ty Dillon. He admitted it. A lot of people, though, thought he was just going to get a one race suspension. And Kyle Busch especially had some choice words that, that this was too harsh and like it should just be a written rule. But penalties are handed out at NASCAR's discretion, these type of penalties. And Kyle Busch and a lot of other people don't think it should be that way. They should, if you intentionally wreck someone, one game or one race suspension.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it has been around since racing was invented. People wreck people on purpose, and now, especially now, because it's so much safer than it's ever been, drivers just let their emotions get the best of them and run them into the wall or to turn them around. I think he probably should get a one race suspension as well, but NASCAR controls the rulings there, so they seem that was their decision.
Yeah, exactly. And with Kyle Busch, he's had top tens in his last three races, but he's still looking for his first win.
Yeah, because he didn't win at all last year, which broke his streak of consecutive wins or consecutive seasons with wins. Sorry.
That's right. And I hope I'm saying this right, but we had a woman make her Cup Series debut in NASCAR, which is fantastic, huge milestone. First time since Danica Patrick made her Cup debut in the highest level in NASCAR. Catherine Legge, I hope I'm saying that right, makes her Cup Series debut, but unfortunately it does end in a wreck with Daniel Suarez late in the race. So that is unfortunate, but a great step for women in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to see more of it happen. Especially in the lower levels, like the Truck Series and the ARCA Menard Series, there are a few women that have been there the last couple of years that are making some names for themselves, and I think we could see them in the Cup Series one day.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. There are a lot of women in racing that have quite a bit of talent.
Yeah, exactly. Standings update. We are 4 races into the year, so it might be a good idea to just check out where people are right now. Believe it or not, Christopher Bell is not your points leader, though, even though he has 3 wins, the most wins of the year. William Byron is your points winner.
Daytona 500 champion.
Yes.
William Byron.
He has 165 points. That's because he has, the 1 win and 2, all it says is 2 top 5. So, but he's been extremely consistent all 4 races so far.
A lot of laps. Been at the top for pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, Christopher Bell's second with his 3 wins. Tyler Reddick is in third. I'm only doing the top 16 because that's the playoffs.
Yeah.
Reddick's in third. Ryan Blaney fourth. Chase Elliott fifth. Alex Bowman sixth. Denny Hamlin in seventh. Kyle Busch in eighth. Joey Logano ninth. Chris Buescher 10th. Kyle Larson 11th. Wallace Jr. in 12th. Joe Nemechek Jr. in 13th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 14th. Michael McDowell in 15th. And Ross Chastain in 16. So to start the year, all 4 Hendrick drivers are in the playoffs once again, baby. Let's go.
There we go. Fantastic. So, all right, that's going to be it for NASCAR. A little bit of news there, but we are running a little short on time. So we're just going to give a quick mention on baseball because we got some big breaking news to discuss.
Yeah.
And this is huge.
This could potentially leave a team out of the playoffs.
That's right. Yankees ace pitcher Garrett Cole, unfortunately, is scheduled to undergo season-ending Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, this is a massive blow. For any team, and of course, it's a massive blow for the Yankees. This absolutely hurts their chances to make the playoffs. I think they'll still be okay, but a lot of their bullpen and pitching staff is injured to even start the year, so they are dealing with a lot of injuries right now. I don't want anyone injured.
We here at Just Saying, even though we hate certain teams and all that, and we have our affiliations, we do not like to see anybody get hurt.
No, absolutely not. However, after that quick disclaimer, I love to see it for the Yankees. Oh,
not for Garrett Cole.
Not for Garrett Cole.
For the Yankees.
The Yankees. Yes. Good. I'm all for it. God, I am.
I mean, like you said, this is a big blow. So, like, this could literally cause them to miss the playoffs.
It very well could. I wonder if they're going to make any moves by the trade deadline halfway through the year to, try and help their pitching situation out. I don't know, but this does hurt, and especially after missing out on Juan Soto, just kind of adds fuel to the fire. Spring training is going on though. It's spring training, so it's no really reason to report on games or anything. Like I said, I will be going to a Red Sox Braves game on St. Patty's Day, so I can't wait to go to another baseball game. That's one of my favorite things to do. And March 18th, it's here, people.
Opening day launches in Japan with the International Series. And I also want to mention that some guy named Shohei Ohtani,
only like maybe the best player in all of sports. But.
What? Just real quick, because we thought it was great, and it's one of the video games that we play. But he was added to Fortnite as a skin package, and it does look pretty sweet.
It looks like Shohei, and the trailer, he acts like Shohei. It's pretty awesome. I'm all for it.
Yeah, so that's great. We were going to end off with doing some way too early predictions, but we are going to save that for next episode because we do have to cut it off. Unfortunately, I know you've been enjoying listening to this podcast, and I'm sorry we had to do that to you, but we got to go to bed and get ready for work tomorrow. But another great episode in the books. If you have listened all the way through, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
We really appreciate it. Happy St. Patty's Day. And is there anything you want to say to me? Maybe?
Hold on. Let me think about this for a minute. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think, another good episode. You already said that, right? Like, had a lot of fun again, and things are going well. I can't wait to, get back on a consistent basis. And, it's...
Anything else?
As we already said, we are going to be watching Daredevil. I cannot wait to talk about Daredevil. That's the next big thing in the MCU. That's excited for that. And happy birthday, Jairus. That's what I was forgetting.
That's right. Tomorrow is my birthday. And
so when you're listening to this, everyone, You know what? You better listen real good. I'm way too close to the mic, but this is really important. When this episode comes out, it will be Jairus' birthday. So you will go into the comments of either this YouTube video or on Spotify. Does iHeartRadio have a comment section?
I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't really ever look on there.
Okay, well,
but we love you.
If there is, on iHeartRadio or Amazon or wherever else we post, you better comment happy birthday. And if you're on our socials, follow our socials, like Facebook, because that's our main. I expect you. No, you will.
It's a requirement.
You will say happy birthday to Jairus, because he's getting old as fuck. That's it.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you very much for remembering without any sort of cues from anyone else. I really appreciate that. You know, I don't like to make it all about me. Obviously, I'm a very humble person, but happy birthday to me. Thank you.
How old are you turning?
26, so I'm pretty old, but not as old as you.
There it is.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to the episode. We really do appreciate it. We love everybody on every platform, but just want to mention again, if you subscribe to YouTube and listen to us on there, you get day early access. And, you know, if you follow our Facebook or any other socials, Instagram, give us a shout out. Tag us in Just Sayin Nation.
No. Don't give me a shout out. Give Jairus a shout out because it's his birthday.
But also for the podcast.
Yeah, tag the podcast and say happy birthday, Jairus. Yeah. Not leave me out of it.
Yeah. Use the hashtag Just Sayin Nation, and you know, give us a little shout out if you listen to the podcast, and we'll give you a shout out back. We've been a lot more active on social media, so you'll get to see news that, you know, we don't talk about on the podcast because we don't have all the time in the world, but we'll still report on it and give our little thoughts. But yeah, that's going to conclude it. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. Happy birthday to me. And we will see y'all in the next one.